All right, now we're going to talk about on-ramp session number 4. We are going to talk about pull-ups.
Yeah, so we've got four I'll chat a little bit about more of these here. We've got four variations that we will go through. Stall bar is going to be the first one. That's the priority for like learning the mechanics. After that, if that looks a little bit too easy, you can give them a couple of the banded options. If that still looks too easy, you can get them right into the strict pull-ups. I would avoid teaching them how to do the kipping pull-ups in on-ramp, but you can give them the demonstration if you want to, just because they'll likely be seeing those done in class, and so you can kind of let them know this is like the step up. But I would try to be clear in saying that it's best if you're able to complete a couple of strict pull-ups with no assistance before trying kipping pull-ups, just because they're a little rougher on the shoulders. You need some more experience. So you can show them if you want to, but that's an optional part of the pull-ups. Typically like to teach the pull-ups over on the far corner in the gym for a couple of reasons we'll chat about in a bit. But it's got the best setup, the best kind of like ratio pull-up bar height and whatnot for one of the variations of pull-ups we're gonna look at. So first one we're gonna look at on this rig over here is the stall bar version of the pull-up. Stall bar, super useful. That's one of these things here. We usually keep these in, we have like 3 or 4, I think. They're usually kept in like the corners of the gym, so like behind those posts there, or over by the rowers, sometimes in the PT section. You can let them know that too, because that's a piece of equipment that they're always welcome to go and grab. They don't need, to ask permission or anything like that. All right, so this is a good opportunity to teach the athlete, again, a little bit of autonomy in the gym. These are pretty heavy. They're heavier than you think they are. And so you can, let them practice putting it in the rack. Another option you have, if maybe your athlete is a little bit on the heavier side, is to actually use a barbell. And we'll do this with push-ups too when we get to push-ups, where you can move the J-hooks, kind of like you were racking for like a front squat or a back squat, but you can adjust it to the height of their chin for these pull-up variations. So with that said, we're going to move the stall bar onto the post, and I like to put it kind of right around, like just at chin height, maybe a hair higher, but right around chin height is all you need. So it might be different for you versus the athlete you're coaching, so you may need to adjust it on the fly. Now the stall bar is really handy for teaching pull-up mechanics because it allows them to keep their feet on the, I'm probably totally blocked by this. It allows them to keep their feet on the floor while practicing that nice strong pull. A lot of athletes, particularly the ladies, usually haven't done pull-ups too much, so it's a good like entry way to do it. Now the way that you're going to teach them how to do pull-ups, standing right underneath the pull-up bar, you're going to grab it with an overhand grip. They can choose if they'd like to go thumbs over or thumbs under. It changes the pull a little bit. I tend to be a thumbs over person, so I'm going to go thumbs over. Hands just outside your shoulders is usually fine. Elbows down and forward under the bar. Feet right under. And we're going to drop straight underneath the pull-up bar. This is where you're going to start and finish those reps. Now from here, you're going to do a foot-assisted pull-up, meaning you're basically going to stand up using your arms to help you pull. And we go back down. And the really good part, or the great aspect of this type of pull-up, is that they can adjust the resistance very, very quickly. I can do like 90% legs and 10% arms, where I'm basically just doing an air squat with a pull. Or you can try them do like a 50-50, where they try to put more of the pull into their arms and less help with the feet. Or you can have them do like 90% arms and just a little bit of feet, like the minimum that they can handle, the minimum legs assistance that they can handle. And things to think about when they're doing this pull-up. Try to avoid having them really throw their chin over in the top. We don't need this big, huge chin clearance. All we need is their chin just to pass the plane of the bar, so they can keep their shoulders back while they do their pull and then return back down. So that is usually a really good starting point for a lot of athletes, especially if you have them try like, 50-50 legs and feet and then like try to keep going until they can't make it over the bar. If that seems too easy, and if they feel like they have some experience, you can progress onto a banded variation. So, banded pull-ups. We have two, we'll go over to this one now. We have two main kind of types of banded pull-ups. One of them is a little bit more entry level, and then one of them is a little bit closer to a typical pull-up. Now the reason I like to use this rig is because the pull-up bar is fairly low. We can grab it while standing on a bench for most heights, and we can place a band across in the rack. So for this type of banded pull-up, I usually grab a whole whack load of bands. It's a good opportunity to show them where the bands are. I usually grab a whole bunch, rack it like hip height-ish, maybe a little bit higher, and we're gonna put some bands across. And I like to intentionally overload it to start with to give them a little bit of confidence. Like I'll throw on a whole bunch of like nice thick bands so they can feel when it's pretty easy. Watch your head when you step up onto this thing, because I've hit my head on this a bunch of times and it's not great. So just mind your head on the way up. You're gonna step off the bench, foot goes down, and you're gonna straighten that leg completely. We want super, super straight legs here, and we can do pull-ups on the pull-up bar like this. You can see this is a pretty easy variation for me. I've got lots of tension on this band. If that looks too easy, they can step off, and you can throw on some different bands. You can take, let's take away the green one and replace it with a yellow one. And that way they'll be able to feel the difference, and that they can combine bands. Like they're always welcome to combine bands and kind of find a combination that works for them. So this one will be a little bit tougher, but allows them to practice that pulling mechanic with that, bench is a little close, with that bit of assistance on the band. Now if that is still pretty easy for them, and they want to take it to another level, what we can do is go for a banded or a hanging band pull-up. So for this one, you might need to teach them how to loop the band up. They're going to toss it over and pull the end through. So you got this little like slip knot thing happening here. Typically, they'll still need a bench to get up into this, especially if they're using a thick band like the green one. So you may need to help them do this. But same idea. We're going to put a foot in the band, and you're going to straighten that leg out completely. We don't want to do our pull-ups with bent legs here. You can see this isn't giving me any help. If I can get tension on the band, now it's going to give me lots of help. Same thing again. I'm going to grab that pull-up bar, hang low, straight legs, and I'll do my pull-ups. So same mechanics, another way they can practice it, another avenue. They can practice those pull-ups. And then from there, you can talk to them about how we would then just progress the bands. We go down to a purple one, and then down to a yellow, and so forth. They can also combine bands here if they want to. And I tend to prefer this version. I try to like steer them towards this version of the pull-up, just because with that horizontal banded pull-up, I said this is kind of like, maybe there's another one there, but this is kind of the only rack you can do it on. And being able to do it with just the hanging band gives them the freedom to use kind of any pull-up bar they want to in the gym. Now, if all of that is still looking pretty easy and they're confident, you can have them just try a strict pull-up, which would be this, but with no assistance. You can have them try that if you want to. If that's still too easy, you can show them the kipping pull-up. But yeah, that's pretty much it on pull-ups. All right, so another good option that you can give them that isn't actually listed on the slide, but a good one to kind of have in the toolbox, is the pull-up negative. And that one can be done on a nice low pull-up bar like these, or it can be done on a high pull-up bar, depending on your athlete's strength. But essentially what you're going to do with this is you're going to start in the top of the pull-up, so your chin over the bar, and then you're slowly going to lower yourself down into that pull-up. And what that's doing is it's loading your muscles eccentrically, which allows you to build lots of strength. Same strategy with negative push-ups. You can build push-up strength by practicing the negatives. And you can do that with bands too. So if your athlete really wants to work on the negatives, awesome, great. And they can use bands if they want to. It's usually a much longer rep because we're really trying to slow it down. So if they're doing negatives in the workout, for example, they may need to modify the number a little bit just so they don't fall too far behind. But I'll show you what it looks like. They're welcome to use steps and whatnot to get their chin over. We're going to get over the bar. We're going to step off. And as slowly as possible, they're going to lower themselves down. Again, elbows down and in front of the bar until they're fully extended in that hang. You might notice them kind of drop quickly in some sections, which is fine. They just know kind of what area they need to work on. But yeah, that's another great variation for pull-ups.